started our work. So I have launched my website. Just let me sign into the account. So this is my account. I was in North Virginia, I guess. And here I had created a Elastic Beanstalk environment, a PHP Elastic Beanstalk environment where I went ahead and installed few applications. So as of now, I'm here somewhere where I have launched, I think one version I have launched. Anyhow, I'll show you what I have done. So I started with this first version, which was the sample application version. I uploaded this sample application version where only the basic PHP environment was there. On top of that, I started with the second version where only few items were there. Not everything was working there. Then what I did is I went ahead and I installed the third version. And when I installed the third version, this is what is running right now, AWS PHP multi-version 2. Okay, so this is what is running right now. And if I go to my application, I can see environment. So if I go to my version here, if I click on this, I will be able to see this local EC2 session. This is working. I can see this is working. If you give a name, let me say Swati. So it is working. There's no issue here. Okay. I see DynamoDB anyhow I have not configured, so it will not work. EBS volume, it will work. So this is working, but there is a small delay in the S3, but this is working. Similarly, when I go to image on S3, this is also working. Now I'll show you how I have configured it. So I went to my configure section and here, I went to my configuration section and here I went into the edit section. And here at the end, I passed the environment variables. Basically, these are the environment variables. Okay. One thing yesterday when I was working, I was not able to connect to the database because I was not giving like this. So the port number is what I was not giving. I gave my username, password, and the URL where S3 content is there. Once I have given all these things, I can simply come here and say apply. It will validate everything is correct or not. And then it will bring me back to my console. And back to my console when I come back. So it is just validating everything again. So I just come back to my console and I can check whether it is working or not. So here, this is S3 image working. CloudFront I have not configured. I'll do it now. Now, if I click on this RDS, this should work. So it is working and it is saying connected to RDS MySQL DB. Now I will go ahead and make changes now. I will upload the third version or the fourth version of the code which I have. So I'll just duplicate this. So what all I should configure? So if you see here, I should configure RDS read replica, memcache, CloudFront, DynamoDB, and signed URL. So let's do everything one by one. So let me just go ahead and create a read replica first. So read replica, I told you, is nothing but it is my DB's replica so that whenever I read the data, I'm able to read the data faster. So that is the purpose of this. So I'll go to RDS. And from RDS, I can create a read replica of that. Everything will remain same, only the URL of this read replica will change. So let me just go ahead to RDS and create a read replica for that. So this database is already running. Come to this database and here in the action, you will simply come here and see there is something called read replica. Create read replica. So create a read replica of this. So I will give a name as PHP database. RR means read replica, something like this. You give any name, that's not a problem, but the name has to be given correctly. So PHP database, I will just, so it is saying the source is this thing. Oh, just give me a second. So let me just wait for this to come up. There's no other thing here. Okay. Okay, read replica source. So which is your source DB? This. How will you identify? So what name would you like to give? So I'll say PHP database, and I will say RR, means it's a read replica. Which AWS region would you like to create it? So I'm creating everything in North Virginia. I will keep it as T2 micro. Storage also I'll keep same because I don't want to change anything. Auto scaling and all, I will keep everything same. So basically I'm not changing anything. I'm keeping everything as it is. See here, it is taking all the features from my main database only. I'm just creating a read replica, and while teaching this, I told you that read replica is mostly used for performance. Okay, it will take some time. Let it take that time to get created, and after it is created, I will get a URL for this or an endpoint for this, and using this endpoint or the host name, I will be able to connect. So let this get connected. It will take some time. Meanwhile, I also have something called memcache. So let me duplicate this. Now, I told you that memcache is a component which will help you to cache the content. So when I say cache the content, in the sense, many a times when you're working, you may lag speed. Okay, speed in the sense that I need the data to be uploaded very fast. So in that, I will go for elastic cache. Elastic cache. So this is elastic cache in memory cache service. So this is what I'm interested in right now. So now whatever I'm doing, so the basic website is there. Okay. Now whatever I'm doing, it is trying to enhance this. Okay. So I'm saying get started. And here I am going to elastic cache. I'll go with memcache. Okay. So this is Redis cluster. Redis is not what I need. I need memcache. So let me just take a step back. Let me just come here. Parameter, memcache cluster. I want this guy. Create a memcache cluster. So I'll create a memcache. So AWS Cloud is where I want to create. What is the name? This is a costly service. So please make sure that you delete it as soon as your work is done. MEMCACHE. Cache. Description if you want to give. Cluster setting. So which version would you like to go for? So I'll go with, let me see the latest version, 1.6.12. Port number is this much. So whichever security group you are using, make sure that you open this port number here. Okay. Then come all the way here. See here, it is using R6 large, which is 13.07 MB and 10 mega gigs of speed. So basically it will cost you a good amount of money. So make sure that you, as soon as you are done, you go ahead and stop this. You can see here, this is, I think, the least which you can get. I can see there is something called 6.38 cache M6 large. You can go with this also, but still not covered under free tier, and it is chargeable. Okay. So I can, I find something called T2 small. T2 micro is also there. Anyhow, I'll go with T2 micro because again, cost is something which I'm keeping in mind, but in real-time scenario, cost will be taken care, but performance will also be a distinguishing factor. Here it says create a new subnet. So you can say memcache subnet. So I'm creating a new subnet, memcache subnet. VPC ID. So I'll put it in my default VPC, which I have created. So I don't remember which one is the default VPC. So just let me open it here again and just duplicate this guy and check which VPC I have put all these things. VPC. So in VPC, it is very important that you put it in the public subnet, because cache means somebody will come from internet and try to get the content. So it is important for you that you put all your contents in the default one. So you can come down here. I think VPC 4B836. Now, how do I identify whether this is a default one or not? So default, yes. So VPC 4B ends with 1836. So I'll go with this. Then anything else? No subnet. So nothing else I would like here to do. Tag subnet for group. No tagging. Availability zone, there's no preference. Simply go ahead and say next. Okay. Now just come here in security. Do you want to do any encryption? No. Security group, select a security group. So which security group would you like to go ahead? So you can click on this manage, and I will go with the one which I have created, DevOps security group. But make sure that you change the port number. Okay, that is important. That I will change in some time. Maintenance, I will leave it as it is. And next, so cluster info is memcache. Location is on AWS cloud. It will work on this particular port number, which you need to change. So let me go ahead and change it also. So I will come here to my security group. In security group, I'm using this DevOps security group. Here, go inside this security group and edit inbound rules. Go here and you will add that root. That's very important. Okay. So you can look for memcache. There is nothing called memcache. So you can go with the custom TCP. The port number is this guy, 11211. 11211, and make sure that you are connected from anywhere IP portfolio. Here you can mention it is mem, C-A-C-H-E, memcache. Go all the way and say save the rule. And this rule is saved. Now you can come here and you can see everything is as per your requirement. And that's it. You can go ahead and create it. I'm again saying these are costly services. Make sure that you are using them effectively. If you are not using them effectively, they will charge you a good amount of money. Now, the third component which I'm configuring here is my CloudFront. Now, what is CloudFront? Why do I use it? So let me just come here and show you CloudFront. Now, here we use the global delivery network. Now, I told you that AWS has a global delivery network, or it has a global infrastructure. So there is a possibility that when I start with a data set, or I'm working at a place, but that data center is very far from me. So let me say I'm working from Bangalore. The nearest data center for me is in Mumbai. If you see the distance, it is miles away. So how to tackle that problem? How to handle that problem? So I will have edge locations, and using these edge locations, my data will travel fast because there are data center, not exactly data centers, but small edge locations which are near to me, which can carry the data fast. So I will do that. So origin, who is your origin? Where is your data located? So my static data is located in my S3 bucket. So if I remember, this is the place where I have stored my data. This is the place where I've stored my data. Just let me go and check my S3 if my image which I have is located here or not. So let me duplicate this, come to S3. And let me go to this bucket. I guess here only dummy 2606 it is present. Yeah, this thing is present here. So I'll simply come in CloudFront and then say, this is my location. Origin path is optional. So the rest you leave it everything as it is. No need to change anything. Okay. If you want that only the data should be accessible via CloudFront, not by S3, then you can enable this. Okay. Now, many times you do with additional settings. So see, again, CloudFront is also like a cache memory only. Okay. So whenever you want to access something, it will store it in the cache memory or in the CloudFront memory, so that every time you don't have to go to the main source and get the data. Again, it will have a TTL or time to live, and then from there you will get the data. Now here, if you come, there is something called signed URL. Let me just show you that. See, smooth streaming means buffering should not happen. So let me say if I'm seeing a video, so it should not happen that I'm watching a video, then buffering will happen, then a video will come. So smooth streaming, you can make it as yes, in case you are streaming a video or anything like that. Okay. Real-time logs, if you want to capture them, you can put it here. Okay. Origin request. I want to know where is the request coming from. So if I enable this, I will know where the request is coming from. Now, this is something which you can use for your cost saving. So you can say that, okay, my customers are mostly North America and Europe. So you enable this. If you use all edge locations, means my customers are throughout, But if my customers are only in North America, Europe, Asia, Middle East, I will use this. So again, it will depend where your website is working. So I will leave it as it is. Okay. And that's it. I will create a distribution. So if you see here, I did not change much here. I have only changed one component, which is where is the data located or the static data located. So I'm always telling data in S3 is little bit slow, not very much, little bit slow. So I want that data to be fast. So basically, if you see here, I have deployed something called RDS read replica. Then I deployed something called memcache. Then I deployed something called CloudFront. Now I will enable all these items. Okay, how to enable these items? So I will go to my EC2 instance, and this time I will go to last but one version of my code. Okay, so let me go to my EC2 instance. I have my instance up and running. So this is my instance which is up and running. So if you remember, this is what was my instance which I created yesterday, and I simply connect to this instance. EC2 user, connect to this. And you can come here and say sudo su minus, and you will get your code here, ls minus l. This is your code. So let me go inside my code, AWS PHP Beanstalk, ls minus l. So you can see you are here. So I just want to check which version of the code I'm using. Okay. So let me clear all these things. Come here and say git log minus
one line.
One line, sorry. Thank you. One line. So if I come here and just say git checkout head,
That's how these all versions came actually, like version.
This was in the code only. All these versions are there in the code only.
Code only. Okay.
So it is git checkout master. So so now, so now if I come and run this, see, you can see these versions are there. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these versions are there in the Git only. So Git is a version control tool. So I will teach you Git in the coming classes where I will tell you how these versions are maintained. So the developer has developed first this component. Then on top of that, he made these changes. On top of that, he made these changes. On top of that, he made these changes. And finally, this is the latest code which he has. But when I'm deploying, yes, definitely I can deploy all the code at the same time. That can be done. I will take the final version and I'll deploy it. But I want to show you step by step how the deployment is happening. So till this point is what we have already deployed. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to deploy this version, scalable architecture. So we come here and say, so I'm trying to, no, first I have to check out that guy. Git checkout, and I will check out this guy. So I'm going for the scalable one right now. So it is saying head is now pointing to this guy. So clear all these things. So I can see head is pointing to the scalable one. Now I can run this. Now I can see the code. So now I can see that, okay, let me remove this guy. This is not needed. This is what I did in the morning, okay? See, so this is the code. So this is already I know, this one also I know. There is something called CloudFront image.php. So I have to work with that. Then I have Dynamo session.php. Again, I'll work with that. Then memcache, read replica, and these things are there. CloudFront, can I see? CloudFront is also there. So this is the latest code which I'm working with. So now again, I will zip this code and I will push this code to my GitHub so that I can upload this version of the code. Okay. Let me just come here. So I will just do something like this. Git archive -- format is equal to zip head PHP scale.zip. So this is the version which I got. Now, if you come here and say ls-l, you will see this version is there. What do? You go ahead and copy this to your bucket. So you will do something like this. AWS S3 CP is copy this zip file to my PHP morning bucket. Let's see what happens. So it is saying that I have uploaded. So let me go to my S3 bucket. Let me duplicate this. Just wait a second. So I'm going to my bucket and I'm checking whether that code has been pushed or not. I can come to this PHP morning bucket. This is where I pushed. And I can see this third version, which is just now pushed, 1922, just now pushed. I can download this piece of code. So let me just go ahead and download this piece of code. So this is downloaded. Now I can go to my PHP application and I can upload the latest version. Come here. This time I can say scale PHP version 3, okay, or version 4, whatever name you want to give. Where is your file? So choose the file. And this is the one. Go ahead and deploy this. Okay, so it will get deployed. Now, meanwhile, when it is getting deployed, I will also go into the code and I will check what all things are required here. So I'll start with this guy, RDS read replica. So cat RDS RR. So if you see here, it is saying I will need this guy, RDS RR host name. This RDS username and password is already there, so that's not a problem. So I will need this guy. So let me just come here and say notepad ++. And how will it look like? So it will look like something like this. RR dot something :3306. So mention it like this, okay? So whatever I'll get, I'll put it here. Then I will have a memcache ls. Let me see this memcache thing. See, CloudFront is here. So let me just. So in CloudFront, it is saying you will have CloudFront image URL. Which will look something like this. http:/myimage.png. So this will be your image looking like. Then you will have this memcache PHP. Here we will need, so memcache endpoint. Just let me come here a little bit up. See here, it is saying you will need something like this memcache endpoint. How will it look like? So it will look something like this. Anyhow, I'll replace the actual values. Then what else we created? Memcache this thing. Then let's if you do. So we have to create a DynamoDB session so that the session variable. So I told you, right? Whenever auto scaling happens, okay, there is a customer who is already logged in. So what will happen is from 8, it is coming to 2, or from 10, it is coming to 2. So he is there on his machine. All of a sudden, his session will expire. Means basically he was trying to shop something in his cart. He has added items, but all of a sudden it got terminated and his session expired. So I don't want that thing to happen. So in Dyn session, I will go ahead and update his details. So I will create a DynamoDB table for him. So here, if you come now, Wait a second. So there will be a table called sessions. So I'll create a table with this name, table name as sessions. So you have to create a DynamoDB with the table name as sessions, and start session will happen. One second, let me scroll down. I will just say Dan region, which region this guy will work. So it will be like US East 1. Okay, let me see the code, what else it is expecting. I think that's it. I think that's it. Let me just come one second. PowerPoint, PHP project. Anything else is needed or what? That's it, I guess. CloudFront image URL. Okay. That is all what I need. Come down. Okay, and I think that is all what we need. Dan region, memcache, attach the role created. Okay, I'll also create a role of which is I need. Hold on for a second. Post method, empty method, session. I think there will be ID required. One second, let me see this code. Actually, there is something I'm missing, I guess. So Dynamo region is this. Dynamo table ID setup version is latest. It's okay. Table name is session. That is okay. Sessions. Session start doc type h1 if it submitted empty. And then sessions text is username. Input type is text. Username submit value submit. And that's it. Username. I think that's it. Don't need any anyhow. If something fails, I'll come back and check. Okay. So let me come here. Why is it updating my environment? I did not update anything. But anyhow, so this is my memcache. Let me see what happened to my memcache. Did it get created or not? Okay. Meanwhile, I also have to do one more thing. Anyhow, do that. So if you come here, you see here configuration endpoint. So this is your endpoint. Take this endpoint. Come here and update this. So memcache should be something like this. It told. So let me check whether my memcache is like that only or not. So I don't need this thing. So memcache. So let me update my memcache first. Go see where to update. Here is where I have to update. PHP application. Go to configuration. Go to software. Go all the way here. This is what is you're required to update with this value. Okay, then what is next you need to update? You will update this guy, CloudFront image URL. What will be that? https://my image png. So let me come to my CloudFront, and here this is the domain name. Just let me see it is working or not. So let me put it here, /. The image name, if you remember in your S3 bucket, so if you go to your S3 bucket, the image name is here. So basically the content will come from S3 only, but it will be picked up by my CloudFront. So backslash like this. And if you see, this is comparatively faster, and this is coming from CloudFront. So let me take this guy. So this is my CloudFront URL. Then what else is needed? RR host name. So RR host name is this guy. And this is my RR host name. This is the database. So this is the database, and endpoint is something which I need. So let me refresh this guy. So read replica is chargeable, CloudFront is chargeable, memcache is chargeable. So whenever you're doing this, make sure that you are doing it and deleting all these things. Okay. So this is the RR. Then here you need to mention this port number. So wherever you need to mention the port number, Control Z, go ahead and mention the port number. So in read replica, you need to mention. In memcache, you don't have to mention it. Then Dyn region or Dynamo region. So you are going to create it in North Virginia, which is US East 1. That's it. Now, that is all what I need to do here. Apply and continue. So these changes will go ahead and happen in the background. Meanwhile, I have not created this DynamoDB session. So I'll go ahead and create DynamoDB for myself. So let me just take a window from here. Let me create a DynamoDB table. So DynamoDB is what I'm going to create a table. So I told you the table which I'm going to create, I will name it as sessions. So this name is something which has been required, and you create in North Virginia, which is US East 1. So partition key for me, I can give it as ID. That's it. I don't want to do anything else. I simply go ahead and create this guy. So this is getting created, and in some time you will see that whenever I log into my this thing, I will get a entry here. But there is a small thing which I need to do. So whenever this PHP app is working, what is happening internally? There is a database, there is a EC2 getting created. So let me just show you that. See here. So my PHP application, there is a EC2 getting created here. And this EC2 is working and doing everything. Now this EC2 will need that power. So how will that get that power? By IAM role. So I'll create an IAM role for this guy. So let me just come here and say IAM. So for DynamoDB session interaction, it will need a IAM role. So I will create an IAM role, and I will show you how to attach it to the PHP app or the EBS. So let me come here, role. Say I want to create a role. So who is going to use it? So EC2 is going to use it. In EBS is going to use it, but in turn EC2 will use it. And next, what powers you need? You need power related to DynamoDB, because you need to read the data from DynamoDB, right? So DYNA DynamoDB. So I want DynamoDB full access. You can take full access for DynamoDB. Come all the way down here. Next, or role name, EBS DynamoDB. EBS DYNAMO DB role. Okay. And then you can just come all the way down here, create this role. See, DynamoDB full access is given. So I'll wait for this role to come up. Once this role comes up, I will attach this role to my EBS, Elastic Beanstalk. So how to do that? Go back to your this guy. Here it is still in progress, but if you come here to okay, it is green. Okay, so if you come here, configuration, in the security section, it is asking for this IAM role. If you see here, IAM role, see here. So come here, edit IAM profile, service role. I would like to give the full. The service role is there. Wait a second. Event and role. I think it will not work after that. Wait a second now. Cancel. So it is already using a role. Wait just a second. Now it is already using a role. I can simply add permission to that role only. So if you see here, IAM instance profile, it is using a role, which is this AWS Elastic Beanstalk EC2 role. It is using this guy. Okay, let me come here and see what is this role. And if possible, on this role only, I will add my. So this is what it is using. Go inside this. And this is the role. So if you see here, these are the permission which it already has. I will add a permission so that it can access my DynamoDB also. So I will add a permission DYNAMO. So I'm adding this permission to this existing role attach policy. So now if you come down here, this guy has DynamoDB full access also. So here I don't have to make any changes. Okay, this is already there. Just come down here, back to your environment. Now, again, this is a green, means everything is working as expected. Now I'll go back to this application. This is how I will come here. Now, so I'm expecting this CloudFront to work. Let me click here. It says request URL not found on this server. It is not working, so I have to fix it. Read replica. Wait, there's some problem. Did I not upload the code or what? It is, wait, the code has not been deployed. Sorry, my bad. I should have uploaded the code. So version page. I don't think the code has been deployed. So let me just go ahead and I can see this code is here. Okay, but still it is pointing here only. I think it did not get deployed properly. So let's remove this action and deploy this version. Okay. So PHP environment deploy. I don't know why it did not get deployed, but my version is still pointing to this guy only. Okay. So we will wait for this to over and then we will come back here. I thought it was done, but it is not done. So I'll close this guy. And let's wait for this application to get ready. No, it is still pointing to the old version only. PHP multi-version 2. On redeploy, do we need to? No, you don't have to configure it again. Those features are like, it will be permanently now there. So till you delete, unless and until you delete this, it will not change. So you are just changing the version. You're not changing the variables. So these things will be remaining as it is. Now my question is, why that version did not get deployed? So let's see here. Still it is pointing to this only. Something did not work. See here, it has failed to deploy. During an abort deployment, sometimes the instance may be deployed to new application. To ensure instances are running, let's say redeploy the appropriate application version. Okay, due to some reason this deployment failed. Something happened. I exactly don't know what happened, but we are trying to do it again. Let's see. Environment update has started. Let's see whether it works or it fails. We will see. Okay, say environment update completed successfully. Can we assume memcache is server side and CloudFront? No, 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 no. Memcache is generally for the website. Okay, in the website you will have static content and static content and dynamic content, and you can say that for static content you are still, it is going with the old version only. Wait a second. Upload and deploy. Choose a version. PHP scale multi. I will make it SCA scale deploy. Okay, so I'm trying to deploy the latest version. I don't know what happened last time, but it is again going back to the old version only. Okay, there is an error. During an abort deployment, some instances may, so this is failing actually. Due to some reason it is failing. Not sure why it is failing. So it got aborted. This is not getting deployed. Let me just go to the versions. So this PHP scale, this and this is not getting deployed. And because of that, the rollback is happening and it is coming back to this environment only. So let me just delete these two guys. Delete. And let me try to redeploy this code. Okay, let's see what is the problem. So it is pointing to this multi version 2. So I will try to do that thing again. I think something is missing because of which this thing. Sudo hyphen ls minus l cd. So this is some problem here only. Okay, let me just remove this guy. Let me just run this command. Git log minus one line. So the head is pointing to the scalable architecture. And if I check, say git checkout master, checkout master, and log one line. So now it is pointing to this, but I want to point it to here, FA72343. So we'll go and point it here. I will say git checkout this URL. Now ls minus l. So you can see all these things. Now let me go ahead and do a git archive. So git archive minus.
Can you recheck where this head is pointing now?
Yeah, we can do that. Give me 1 minute. Let me redeploy and let me see if it is going good. So I say scalable beanstalk. I'll just change the name. Scalable beanstalk.zip. So this is what I got. Let me copy it to my S3 bucket. So I will say SCALE ABLE. SCALABLE. Let's upload. Now this is uploaded back to my bucket. back here. This is the bucket where it should go. Let me refresh this guy. This is the one. Let me download this. Download 6 KB is the file. And let me go ahead and deploy this. Okay, so I will upload. I will say this is version 4. Multi is SCALABLE, and I will choose the file scalable Beanstalk, and I will just come here and upload this. That's it. Let's see what happens now. So created application version scalable 4. Okay. Let's go to application environment. Due to some reason, it is not getting deployed only. Okay, it has started the deployment. Let's see if it is getting deployed or again it is failing. In case it fails, we need to go and check why it is failing. There could be some reason for that. We need to check what's the reason. So this is the log where we can go and check. Click here, click request logs to. Okay, request logs, last 100 lines. Download it. And we need to check why it is failing. Okay. Control F, error. See here, it is failing because of this guy, var www CloudFormation image PHP, not found or unable to start. PHP environment, this thing. So there is a problem here. Okay, there is a problem here also. RDS.php not able to found. So these are the two places where it is not able to find. Okay, and what's the reason for that? Has a demand. This will continue to work. Okay, is there any other failure here? Error expression proc open fork field cannot allocate memory. There is some issue with the memory, I guess. Elastic Beanstalk. External invocation. Troubleshooting fork field cannot allocate memory. Something related to memories it is talking about here. But need to check. Let's go back here. Let's see what's the status here. Is this still a problem? This time, again, it failed, I guess. Yes, it has failed again. Failed to deploy the application. The request information. Okay, it has failed again. Okay, let me go to logs and check what is the problem. So if it is a memory issue, then we cannot do much. Request logs, full logs. And this is the full log what I get. Okay, wait, it will be difficult here. Last 100 lines is enough for me. Request log, last 100 lines. So this was 1949, this is the one 1952. Okay. Unable to find this. Why? So there is some PHP error, okay? PHP error, PID client this much, script this not found, RDS. Is it that the zip did not happen properly, unable to start? Control F, error. Fork failed. Exactly what's the problem? Proc open. There is some error related to this. Hold on for a second. Let's go and check if there is memory available or not. Just come here and say df -h. I can see a space is available. Ample amount of space is available. See here. So it is not with the some problem with the zip, I guess. It is saying it is not able to find this guy and not able to find this guy. So if you go to the error, you can see this. See here. So it says, see, this guy not found or unable to start. This is a problem 1. And this is problem. Need to check why it is not able to start. Okay, so that looks to me a code issue. I have to sit and debug this. So for today, I'll stop it here. I'll just revise whatever I've done, and then I will go back and revisit this entire thing again. So basically, what we are doing, what we have done here. So our motto here is to design an application in such a way that it is scalable, fault tolerant, highly available. And to make that thing happen, I have many features which are working here. The first component which I started with was EBS. In EBS, I don't have to tell anything. I just have to download the code in zip format and upload it to EBS. The environment will automatically get created and it will start working. So there were many components which are working. There are components in S3. So all these components are working because I went to the software section in the configuration and I have given the environment variable to that. So this is working as expected. But then I have to go ahead and configure this CloudFront, then read replica. So this portion is somewhere it has failed because the latest version which I deployed or which I was trying to deploy is not getting deployed. So there is a failure. This is the failure message which I'm getting. This is some PHP 7 error. So probably the latest version of PHP is something which can run this, or I will see whether it's a code issue or environment issue. So many a times when the code changes or the version changes, these kind of problems will come. So I have to go and sit and debug this. But the crux of the story is that there are 100 of components on AWS. If you want to make them work, okay, EBS is a very smart and an easy way to work. You just need to come here, upload your code. And suppose you want to connect to a database, you need to pass the URL or the endpoint along with the username and password and with the correct port number. So if you pass all these variables correctly, easily your stuffs will start working. Okay. Very nominal headache, no work, much work to be done. Upload the code, give the variables correctly, it will work. Till now, whatever I'm doing is manually. I'm manually trying to deploy the code every time something changes are coming. In the coming class, I will show you there is something called code build pipeline. So let me come here. Code pipeline. So using code pipeline, I can implement the CI/CD of this AWS. So in AWS, these things will work and automatically my code will get deployed. Once your work is done here, remember to go ahead and delete all the items. Like if you have created an instance, either run it, either keep running it or go ahead and stop it. This is one very important thing which you should do. This. First go ahead and just delete this. So it says delete me, delete this, memcache, CloudFront, all these are chargeable. So make sure that once your work is done, you delete it. So tomorrow when I come back, I'll fix this problem which we are facing. And then there's a last component called CloudFront. In CloudFront, there is something called signed URL. So signed URL is nothing but like when you log into Amazon Prime or you log into, let me say, Netflix. So unless and when you log in, you're not allowed to go inside and see the content. So here also we will implement something called signed URL via CloudFront, and you will be able to have a credential, and based on that credential, you will go inside and log in. So that is what I'll show you. Then I will go ahead and deploy the changes using pipeline, means the CI/CD pipeline. I will implement it on AWS. Okay. And then I will go ahead and show you how CloudFormation works. So you will get the infrastructure with the YAML script or the JSON script. So I'll show you that also. So any question related to today's class? If there is any question, please go ahead.
Can you explain once again about this CloudFront and Memcache? Like CloudFront, as you said, like if servers are like that, what is longer distance?
See, if you open a website, any website, okay, so there will be few contents which will be static, few contents which will be dynamic. Like if you see here, this ribbon which you see here, most of the times it will remain as it is, but this content is something called dynamic. So dynamic means something which will change and it will pop up. Let's see, it is changing. So these contents which are static, I can put it in my S3. But the problem with S3 is that S3 is comparatively slower. It is not very fast. So what I do is I cache the static content on CloudFront. So the moment I keep it on CloudFront, these contents will be fast. But the same thing I cannot do for these guys because these guys are dynamic content. So I put them into a Memcache. So Memcache, if you see, the memory is very high. The cost is also very high. So any dynamic content, I will put it in Memcache, and any static content which needs speed, I'll put it in CloudFront. So it is for performance. Both are two different items, but doing the same thing. Okay.
Okay. So because you mean like CloudFront is cheaper than Memcache, is it?
Repeat again.
You mean to say like CloudFront is cheaper than Memcache,
Yes.
is it?
CloudFront is cheaper than Memcache. Yes. Okay. Fine, guys.
Just one more thing, that PPT, PHP PPT, that will not received.
Okay. PPT I'll put here. You see it. I'll put here. Sorry. I'm putting all the content here only. You will get it from here. AWS presentation, something like this. I've created this thing. I'm putting everything here.
Presentation AWS in that PHP PPT not there.
Yes.
So.
Currently it is not there. I'll put everything here. All the question answers also. I'll put it in. One more thing, guys, that dump which I've shared with you, don't blindly trust that dump. It is somebody who gave the exam and he passed. So it is just for practice purpose. Do not blindly trust that. I'm again saying, if you blindly trust that and if something goes wrong, then I'm not responsible. It is just for your reference that what will be the level of questions, how to work with that. So that for that I've given you. Please do not blindly trust it. Just use it for reference. Okay, very important. Fine. See you then, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Bye.